Yet another day with a double dose of bad news for Donald Trump. When news broke today that two members of his inner coup circle are reportedly talking with prosecutors, including his former chief of staff. So the day began with one of his former lawyers and co-defendants pleading guilty in the Georgia RICO case. You may recognize her, sitting right there. And it ended with ABC News reporting that his former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, there on the left, has been talking with special counsel Jack Smith and his team in exchange for immunity. According to ABC News, citing sources familiar with the matter, Mark Meadows has spoken with special counsel Jack Smith's team at least 3 times this year, including once before a federal grand jury, which came only after Smith granted Meadows immunity to testify under oath. Now, NBC News has not independently verified the reporting, and Meadows' lawyer told NBC News in part, quote, "I told ABC their story was largely inaccurate." He didn't specify what was inaccurate, so we're just trying to sort that out. Now, the Meadows news broke just hours after another one of Trump's former attorneys, Jenna Ellis, pleaded guilty in Trump's RICO case. In the weeks after the 2020 election, you may remember, Ellis, seen there over Rudy's shoulder, traveled extensively with Rudy Giuliani, kind of his number 2 lieutenant, pushing the big lie in several states, including Georgia. She is now the 4th person and the 3rd attorney to plead guilty in that Georgia RICO case, and the first to read out a statement in court.
As an attorney who is also a Christian, I take my responsibilities as a lawyer very seriously, and I endeavor to be a person of sound moral and ethical character in all of my dealings. In the wake of the 2020 presidential election, I believed that challenging the results on behalf of President Trump should be pursued in a just and legal way. If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse.
Timidayo Ganga-Williams, a former federal prosecutor who served as a senior investigative counsel of the January 6th committee, and he joins me now. I just got to start by noting, you got a day where you've got the 3rd Trump lawyer pleading guilty on the same day that one of his ex-lawyers, Michael Cohen, sitting testifying against him in a civil fraud case after having pleaded guilty as well. Like, the unbelievable, and I would dare say unprecedented run of lawyers for this guy ending up with criminal pleas. I think this is a record-setting run that Donald Trump's lawyers are on.
Probably so. But, if there's one thing lawyers are is risk-averse.
Right, that's why it's so rare. That's my point.
Yeah, but I think the lawyers are also going to be well-equipped to see the danger they're facing with criminal exposure.
In terms of pleas,
in terms of pleas. I mean, I think lawyers are going to be likely the first ones, if you have them among a set of defendants, who can see down the road, they can see mandatory minimums, and they are going to be the ones who are likely to want to be out there first and get the best deal possible, which I think is what's happening here.
Okay, let's talk about Jenna Ellis, right? Yeah. So one of the things noted here is that Chesebro and Sidney Powell, who pleaded last week, it's unclear. One of the issues flagged by Andrew Weissman and Christy Bringerberg when they were on this program last week was it's unclear how full that cooperation is, right? Powell seems to have something more like a traditional cooperation agreement, basically, with the prosecutors. And I want to play what Rudy Giuliani said back in August at the suggestion that his number 2, his former Lieutenant Jenna Ellis, might flip. He did not like the idea. Take a listen.
I hope that's not the case.
Because I know she was sort of like underneath
She was my number 2.
Right.
Well, and she was excellent, and she was firmly convinced that the election was, firmly convinced the election was over, and she's the one who recommended Professor Eastman. Was more zealous about the fact that this was a stolen election than Jenna Ellis. And I think anybody on that team would testify to that. So I would find it very, very hard to believe that she did that, but she could have gotten intimidated.
That's them waiting for the espressos and sambucas, apparently. I don't know what that setting is. But he doesn't want her to flip. And it seems to me like when you're talking to Trump lawyers, Jenna Ellis flipping now really squarely puts Rudy Giuliani in a vice.
Certainly does. But remember, we're also talking about a RICO case. So anytime you're getting evidence against one defendant, that's going to go against all of them. So yes, you are building a case against Rudy, but that case against Rudy will also be a case against Trump. So it's not just bad for one person, it's bad for everyone that's left over.
It's interesting you say that, because I remember when the case was brought, it was the last of these criminal cases to be brought. There was we spent a lot of time on Georgia's RICO law, which is stronger than the federal law. There's a lot of question about, can this Fulton County office manage this complex prosecution? Willis is having a pretty good run so far, it seems like. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I mean, I will note she has, at least from what we can see, given pretty generous plea deals. Time will tell whether those are good deals.
You federal prosecutors all sound the same. Christy Gerber are saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, and I think time will tell. But she's clearly focused on getting people out of this case, which is what people thought she would do. She's narrowing down defendants quite quickly. It seems to the public like this is perhaps moving slowly. From a prosecutor's perspective, this is lightning speed.
I can't get over how fast it's moving. And speaking of cooperation, let's talk about Mark Meadows. Yeah. We don't know. We have the ABC report. I guess my question to you is, it seems to me there's a spectrum between cooperating and testifying under immunity before, say, a grand jury or talking to federal prosecutors under immunity. Is there a distinction between those two things?
100%. And I think we've seen a lot of conflating of those, and they have to be parsed out. Cooperation, that is when you are basically facing criminal exposure, you want to get leniency, and then you basically lay down your sword.
You sing for your supper.
Exactly. And
it's like, tell me everything you know,
100%.
and then maybe we'll go easy on you.
Exactly. You know, when I was a prosecutor, what that looks like is that you come and you say everything you've done, from the crimes that you could be charged with to every piece of candy you've ever stolen. That's cooperation. Now, you can have immunity, which can be more specific. So, for example, the reporting says he testified in front of a grand jury. He could be immunized for that purpose. It does not mean he's so-called flipped, the way some people have noted. It could mean that he's, like Mark Meadows has been known to do, going up to the line, doing it enough to avoid perhaps getting in further trouble, but then pulling back.
Yes, that's the famous Meadows two-step. It does look like Ellis is more in that cooperator category, and I think Powell and Chesbrough, it sort of remains to be seen, but that's a very useful sort of spectrum to think about. Timidayo Ogonga-Williams, thank you.